Not really. I think there is a difference in what clients want to use. I think, have you come across the term digital natives and digital immigrants?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a look at that, that's a really interesting thing that says people who are younger have been born into a digital age. And so their first nature, if you like, is to use an iPad or use digital media.
Yeah, they are not used to use materials.
So for often clients who are slightly younger, they will often choose an iPad to draw with or use an iPad in much freer ways that older clients might not. And so in the same way, if you give me a pen and paper, it's you know, I find that less stressful than an iPad. Younger people will find an iPad less stressful than a paper and pencil. And again, you know, there's a whole book in that alone about, you know, on an iPad you can undo a mistake, whereas actually on paper and pencil the mistakes have a real value for exploration in therapy. So there, you know, there's a lot.
That's a very interesting perspective. I'm just reflecting on it because, you know, obviously when you draw in paper or with real, you know, physical materials, the marks that you do, they are there. Whereas in iPad, you know, if you get some regret, you can, you know, quickly erase a bit or.
Absolutely. And when I first, you know, I did research for my master's using an iPad in therapy, and I introduced that into therapy, and I have been meaning for years to write a paper on it. But I was really against it at first because I thought, no, what do we do if we're not going to look at the mistakes? And there's a real value therapeutically to the mistakes. And I was really worried about that. But in actual fact, being able to undo mistakes seems to enable people to feel freer and less inhibited because they're less worried about it. And so they bring a different freedom, and also have got the ability with digital art to make the art a more accurate representation of what they want to express, because you can do lots of things with it.
Yeah, because your ability, you don't need to develop extreme ability to express certain things, because you can get already made elements like, you know, circles, wherever, you know, your line or trace will be different also.
And if you make a mistake, you can undo it and redo it, and you can change things. So yeah, there are pros and cons for both, but it's not something I would make a decision on, because I would just want to find out what a client would want to do. And I think creativity is another really important part of why this way of working is important, because it facilitates creativity developing. And creativity links to actualization and also links to a fully functioning person, if you like. Even if you look at Maslow, fully functioning person, which nobody exists, but the more at the top of the pyramid you are, the more creative things you tend to do. But the more creative things you tend to do tends to promote moving up as well. So there's a link, as you know, there's a link, I think, anyway.
Okay. How is the time of the session managed using art materials? Is there a difference in the way that the session is managed because of the use of art materials, or the timing?
Not really. I think the only thing generally is I tend to ask clients at some point earlier if they'd like to work with art. Because introducing it 5 minutes before the end is not a good idea. So there's a bit of management with that. Some clients will draw to the last minute of the session because they don't want to be facilitated.
Okay.
So they'll use the whole session to draw. Some clients will draw and then come back the next session and work on an image for 2 or 3 weeks. Some don't. The variety and the difference in clients is just vast, really. That when you let go of what you think should happen and you just follow and watch what a client, and you facilitate and enable that, you get to discover wonderful things, you know.
That means that the client can keep working in a piece for several sessions. Can happen that.
Yeah. Clients do all sorts of things. Sometimes clients do that. Sometimes clients want to rip their artwork up and put it in the bin. I wince internally when they do that, but that, you know, that's okay. Sometimes clients ask if they can burn their images, and we've done that and gone and burned and buried the ashes in the garden. Some clients take images with them, some don't. All different things.
That's interesting.
But what matters is what the client wants. What matters is helping them also voice what they want. Making it okay to voice and ask for what they want is an important part.